Alright, settle down, you wanna be rebels. I know what you're thinking. Here's another, quit your job and be free guru. Nah, not exactly. A little over a month ago, I packed up my desk, digitally at least, and dipped from the corporate rat race. Every owns all. Oh my god, you're so brave. You're living the dream. And yeah, maybe a little. But here is the thing. Most people see the highlight reel. They don't see the late nights, the spreadsheets, the existential dread. They don't see the months, hell, almost a year of meticulous planning that went into it. Because let me tell you, you don't just wake up one day and say, "Peace out, corporate overlords." That is a recipe for disaster. A one-way ticket to Ramen Noodle Island. Today, we're dissecting my escape plan, the real talk, no fluff, no filters. This isn't about encouraging you to make some brash YOLO decision. This is about doing it responsibly, without nuking your financial stability, or more importantly, your mental health. There has been a lot of chatter lately, everyone feeling that corporate 9 to 5 void, that soul-crushing emptiness, that feeling of being a cog in a machine. And yeah, I felt it too. Trust me, I felt it deep in my bones. So I figured, who better to spill the tea than someone who actually just did the damn thing? If you haven't figured it out by now, hey everyone, it is your boy. And in this video, we're going to break down how to mentally, financially, and physically prepare to bounce from your 9 to 5. The goal here isn't to light a fire under your ass so you quit tomorrow. It is to equip you with a roadmap, a blueprint for a careful, calculated exit. Because leaving your job, it is not a catch. It is not a magic wand that solves all your life's problems. The grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it is just, well, a different shade of brown. And you really, truly, deeply need to ask yourself if this is what you want. Because it is a big decision, a really big decision, and sometimes you can't walk it back. So we're going to dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just to keep things interesting, we'll have some Modern Warfare 2 gameplay in the background, to mirror the intensity of making life-altering decisions. Alright, first question, the one you absolutely need to nail down before anything else. Do you actually want to leave? And, I mean truly, honestly, in your heart of hearts, do you want to leave? For the love of your sanity, please, make sure this isn't just an emotional outburst after a bad week, because once you pull the trigger, there is no guarantee you can go back. Is your job genuinely that bad? Are there legitimate, imminent needs driving this decision? Are there other humans, small or large, who depend on your income? Don't be rash. Don't be a fool. Take a breath, step back, and evaluate. Is this a repeated pattern of soul-crushing misery, or just a temporary blip, a bad boss, a bad project? I'm all for escaping toxic situations. Nobody should stay where they're actively being destroyed. Unless, of course, you absolutely have to. Or it is a truly terrible no other option scenario. But hear me out. It is not as easy as the Instagram gurus make it seem. You often invite more stress, more problems, more late-night anxiety into your life when you quit. It is not all yachts and 2 p.m. pool parties on a Tuesday. Trust me, I'm probably working harder now than I ever did in my corporate gig. So before you even think about handing in that notice, a mountain of preparation needs to happen. If you want to do this right, it has to be done carefully, meticulously. You need to factor in 2 main things: your monthly burn rate and your savings. Simply put, leaving your job, it is a math problem, pure and simple. You need to build your runway, your financial safety net, your runway. I like to think of it as, how many months do you have to chase this dream of yours? To calculate this, you take your total savings, the chunk you're willing to dedicate to this adventure, and you divide it by your monthly burn rate, which is just all your expenses, food, rent, utilities, that daily Starbucks, habit, everything. This gives you your freedom countdown, the number of months you have to make it work. The absolute worst thing you can do, the rookie mistake, is to quit unprepared. Suddenly, you're out of cash, swiping credit cards, racking up debt, begging friends for loans. That is a hellish scenario. A one-way ticket to regret. You don't want to be reckless. You don't want to put yourself in a stress. Would you spiral of debt? So calculate those monthly expenses. Get real with yourself, then. For most people, their salary is their only income. But don't forget the hidden costs, like insurance, especially in America. That is a huge one. You're suddenly on the hook for that after you leave. After you crunch all those numbers, you need to ask yourself, how can I shrink my living expenses? How can I make this easier? Let me share a little story. My own approach, when I decided to pull the plug, I actually started planning about a year before my actual exit date. I made the decision. I set a target date, which conveniently was after I was fully vested in my company's investment account. Once that date was locked in, way in advance, almost a year out, I started asking, how can I make my life cheaper, significantly cheaper? Here's some of the math I did. It is going to sound crazy, but it is real. I was shelling out about $3,000 to $4,000 a month on rent, parking, internet, food, living alone in the city when I decided to leave. I thought, how can I slash this? My family lives nearby. Not too far, I could eliminate $1,500 in rent and parking. Split utility bills with them. Boom. Just like that. My monthly cost of living dropped to around $2,000. And, yeah, I'm super grateful my parents were cool with me crashing there for minimal expenses. But you get the idea, right? You gotta find a way to make your life lean, mean, and cheap. Whatever way you can, be creative, be ruthless. Here is another example. Let's say you've got $20,000 in assets, just sitting there, and you're willing to throw that $20,000 into chasing your dream. If your monthly cost of living is now $2,000, that gives you around 10 months of runway, 10 months of pure freedom to make it happen. This is assuming zero income coming in, by the way. If you're already doing a side gig, making some money on the side, you can use that to offset that $2,000 monthly burn. When I left, I took about a 90% pay cut, a massive drop, but I also had a couple of other income streams, stock dividends, and my YouTube channel, which got monetized right around when I left. Your cost of living might go down in some areas. No more commuting. So less gas, less transport, but then other things like health insurance could skyrocket. I'm talking $500 or more a month, easily. So you really, truly, deeply need to do the math for your unique situation. What costs will go up, what will go down, and factor it all into your decision. You absolutely, positively, do not want to drown in debt or rely on credit cards just to stay afloat. This isn't a game, it is your financial future. I didn't want to completely obliterate my savings account, so I was incredibly careful. I did it, I quit, but it was an extremely calculated, meticulously planned decision. You need to do tremendous preparation before you leap. And hey, if your company has incentives to stay, like stock options that vest after a few years, or a juicy bonus if you stick around a bit longer, and it makes financial sense for you to stay, why not? In my case, if I stayed for just under another year, I'd get a nice bonus, a really nice one. So it made perfect sense for me to just hang on a little longer, secure that bag, then bounce. You also need an emergency plan, a plan B, a what if everything goes to hell strategy, because you never know. That runway might not be as long as you think, so have a fallback, a safety net, an emergency parachute. You also need to mentally brace yourself for this. You're going to have a lot of internal battles, a lot of self-doubt. I can't tell you how many times I was walking down the hall at work just before quitting thinking, am I the craziest person alive, or the stupidest, or both? But that is normal. Anytime you make a huge decision, especially one that deviates from the traditional path, you're going to question everything. You need to ask yourself a few more things. Are you built for uncertainty? Can you mentally handle zero income, or extremely unpredictable income? If you're someone who gets easily stressed by financial instability, if you thrive on routine and predictability, then you really, truly, deeply need to question if this path is right for you. Also, if you hate everyone you work with, this next point won't apply. But if you have colleagues you actually like, actual friends, it is weird knowing you'll go from seeing them daily to hardly ever every job I had. I made a few genuine connections, people I considered friends. And there is this, like, damn, I might never see these people again. These are people you've commiserated with, grown with, suffered with. For years, it can be surprisingly sad, like drifting apart from old friends, from the good old days. So, another crucial step. You need a plan for your new job, your new life, because once you quit, you don't have forever. What do you want your days to look like? What kind of projects do you want to tackle? You can't just quit and then stare at the ceiling wondering, okay, now what? You're bleeding time. And if you only have 10 months of runway, those 10 months will evaporate faster than you think. You have a limited window to make it work before you're forced to crawl back to the corporate world, declaring your entrepreneurial venture a failure. So get specific, map out your days. Do you want to start a YouTube channel, launch a business, find clients? You need a clear plan for your day, to-day existence. Next up, how to conduct yourself when you've officially decided to leave. Rule number 1 before you tell your boss. Officially, be incredibly careful who you confide in. The last thing you want is to spill the beans to a few coworkers. Then change your mind, because once you tell someone you're leaving, it shifts the entire dynamic of your team. It changes work distribution, how they view who gets a raise, everything in the United States. 2 weeks notice is standard, a professional courtesy. You notify your employer at least 2 weeks before your final day, unless they've seriously mistreated you, wronged you deeply, did something truly heinous. You gotta be a grown-up, a real man or woman, and give that 2 weeks notice. It is the right thing to do. Your coworkers have lives, stresses, responsibilities. You don't want to screw them over for no good reason. You're essentially offloading all your work onto your peers and your boss. So give everyone time to react, to plan, to train replacements, to do proper knowledge transfer. Plus, if you leave on good terms, they might be more than happy to welcome you back. I've left Fortune 500 American corporations twice, and I never hated them. Quite the opposite, actually. It wasn't some dramatic middle finger to the establishment moment. I had immense respect for everyone I worked with, and they knew it. The first time I left, my old boss actually texted me about a month later, saying he had more job openings for more pay, and he'd happily take me back. The most recent time I quit, they said if I ever wanted to return, they'd be happy to work something out. Knowing that, having that safety net, that potential to return, it drastically reduced my stress levels. It was part of my plan. If I had stormed out, yelled at my boss, thrown papers around, I wouldn't have had that extra layer of security. So leave with dignity, with honor, with respect, always. Also, seize the opportunity to network before you go. Invite people for coffee, grab lunch with colleagues you want to stay connected with. It never hurts to know smart, successful people, and you never know who might help you down the line. So, leave gracefully, leave professionally, outright, so you've quit, you're walking out of work for the last time. You drive home, and I'm going to be honest with you. It is pretty anticlimactic. The world keeps spinning. You're still just a normal person. But now, you have more time to work on your stuff. After leaving, maybe take a few days to decompress. You've earned it. You made a tough, significant decision. I'm not great at relaxing myself, but it is good to get outside, unwind, work out, do healthy things. But then, you gotta hit the ground running. Hard remember, you have a limited amount of time to make this work. If you get lazy, if you fail, you're probably going to end up back where you started. So use that fear as motivation. Implement your plan, try things, tweak them, iterate, and try to get some level of income flowing again. Cut back on expensive habits. Especially now, you're no longer just preparing. You're in the thick of it. You're in the action. The clock is ticking. Planning is absolutely crucial. And because I planned, I have significantly less stress than if I had just YOLO'd it. And yeah, I'm happy I made the decision. The freedom, it feels good. It really does. But it is not all sunshine and rainbows. A lot of days still feel the same. You are your only motivator now. No boss, no deadlines. Just you. And you really learn how self-motivated you are when there is no one holding your hand. It is not a cure. All for unhappiness. If you were miserable before, or even if you were happy before, don't be surprised if your situation doesn't magically transform overnight. I feel pretty similar to how I did before, maybe a little more relaxed, a little more time for my own projects. But stress still finds a way into your life. You don't have that corporate safety net anymore, that steady income stream. Use that to motivate you. Because if something pops up, an unexpected $500 expense, it hits differently when you don't have a guaranteed paycheck covering it. Now, for many people, leaving their job isn't an option. For whatever reason, they need that paycheck, that stability. They're providing for a family. And that is totally understandable, but you still have options if you're unhappy. You could switch to a job with better work-life balance. One that allows for a side hustle. You could pivot to a job you're more passionate about. Something you can actually tolerate or even enjoy, because believe it or not, there are people out there who genuinely love their work. Or you can pour hours into a side hustle, building something on the side. And in this scenario, there is no sugarcoating it.